It is the biggest pop culture event of the year. It is happening right now, San Diego Comic-Con 2024. There's the lovely Emma Fife fandoms on the ground there. We're taking over. Of course, we had the amazing kickoff party last night. Thank you, Jason Derulo, for headlining the show. We are at the Hilton Bayfront doing interviews, but we're also here live in LA. We are taking you all through San Diego Comic-Con. I've got old favorites, new friends. We got Ed Greer right here.
Wow. Great to be back.
Yeah. And Bailey Meyers right here.
Wow, you forgot my name.
I did for half a second. I was like, ooh.
We have worked together for years.
To be fair, we're kind of like the Zoom friends, though.
We are.
I've seen you in person like 4 times.
I forget you have a bottom half,
Yeah.
honestly.
Every time I see you, I'm like, wow, you're tall. I had no idea.
I'm 5'7", the perfect height for a woman.
Perfect. Speaking of perfect, we are talking about the first couple days of San Diego Comic-Con. Can we all just agree last year was a huge bummer for Comic-Con? Like the worst. It feels like we are back. We are better than ever. And you know who else is back and better than ever? Oh, man. Marvel is taking over already. Usually they are the big main event Saturday night kind of thing. Not this year, baby. Thursday night, day one. Let's talk about the big Hall H Wolverine Deadpool panel. Now, I know they spoiled a ton of surprises. A ton. We're not going to do that here. You don't need to click away. But I just want to get your thoughts. Marvel, a lot of people saying with Deadpool and Wolverine coming out, I think it's out right now, actually, shot in the arm for the MCU. We're back, baby. Do you think this is Marvel saying, like, hey, we are taking over this weekend?
Well, I think it means that we're entering a post-spoiler world. You know what I'm saying? Because like this is how they're choosing to advertise whatever they're saying. This is how they're choosing to advertise their newest product, which is, you know, we're gonna do a lot of this stuff. Let's reveal a lot of the stuff that we're gonna do. You're gonna come anyway. Come see the stuff you already know. I think that's a new one. I mean, because they used to be so tight-lipped. They used to just put guns to each other's heads like a John Woo movie. Are you gonna spoil it? Are you gonna spoil it? And all those stories of people accidentally spoiling it were like giant stories for the press to tell each other. But now, screw it. We're going to show you everything in this movie and you're going to come anyway. That to me is what it's saying more than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really seems like it's going to be a great movie for people who like to point at the screen and say the name of the character that they see.
I know that thing, that person, that character, that place. Yeah. I think it's more too, it's just like, yeah, I am pretty sure that like the actors get like separate computers, they get separate phones. The thing that also just like I thought was so funny was on Marvel's Twitter. Like 4 posts down from this big Hall H thing is this poster that's like, hey, don't spoil the movie. Yeah, take a look at this. No spoilers.
Follow your own advice.
Yeah, by the way,
What are we doing?
the movie opens right now, and here's everything and everyone in it before you see it. But it's just like such a confidence move in a way. You know, they kind of spoiled Daphne Keene's appearance in a trailer, and everyone was very upset. Marvel was kind of like, well, you know, that might mean something better is coming. So a huge panel to kick off Thursday. I think that to me was the most interesting thing. They had kind of, accidentally kind of showed their cards a little bit when the schedule for Hall H came out. The Wolverine Deadpool panel was scheduled for like 3 hours. So
Yeah.
you could probably use some reasoning, deductive reasoning that they were going to show the movie.
I assumed Ryan Reynolds was just going to riff for 3
For
hours.
3 hours.
I can see that.
He will unless you stop him.
That's
Dude,
true.
And by the end of it, you got a Mint mobile phone. You know, just,
Aviation gin.
Yeah, I mean, great for the fans in attendance, but I also think, you know, at the very end, Kevin Feige says, but wait, look up to the sky. No, not that one. But look up to the sky at 9:45. And I think this is maybe one of the coolest things I've ever seen. They did a drone show for Deadpool and Wolverine, but if that wasn't enough, they were saying, oh, hold your horses because come Saturday, we got the big one coming. Take a look at this.
I do love a drone show. I think they're cool.
They're so much better than
And
fireworks.
they don't freak out dogs. And, you know, I've gone on the record about this. I do think fireworks were probably cooler before TV was invented. Drone shows, I'm still entertained by. I think they're neat.
They are very neat. Play the next one, Zach. Play the one that really, just to me, is like the coolest visual I have maybe ever seen. Thanks to our friend Adam Hlavik, who was on the ground. He got all this. They decided that it wasn't enough to wait till Saturday. Oh, yes, that is a huge drone Galactus.
And he's a Marvel character?
That is indeed a Marvel character. Don't be fooled.
Hey, Mysterio's getting better and better with these things, isn't he?
Right? No Way Home or Far From Home doesn't seem that implausible anymore, right?
Not
and
right
then,
now.
of course, ending this off with speaking of the 2005 movie, I think they ripped this directly off the very end of the 2005 movie. But up in the night sky,
Whoa.
you've got the Fantastic Four, which we knew was going to be a part of their presentation. But I just kind of, I want to look ahead a little bit, ask you guys. That's a lot of Marvel. If they were to walk away last night, that's it, we're done. I feel like you would have been happy. What do you think they could possibly have for Saturday? Anybody. Anything.
Okay, we're talking ridiculous predictions.
Sure. Yeah, do it.
Well, I don't know. I think you should do yours. Yours sets the standard.
Okay, I was talking to Zach before the show started. I don't know how, and I'm not sure why. I just have this gut feeling that for some reason, Robert Downey Jr. is going to walk out on that stage by the end of the. What else do they have? They have nothing else. They have nothing else.
I guess he isn't busy.
Dude,
He did just win an Oscar.
Oh, yeah.
You might get a couple phone calls after that. I'm not sure.
I'm sorry, I forgot
Not
that
in the
Oppenheimer
biz.
wasn't a Marvel movie.
Hey, don't erase that HBO Max series where he's playing like 5 different characters like Peter Sellers.
I don't even know what that is.
Well, I don't either, but I saw it on Max. They were trying to get me to watch it.
It doesn't have swords. I don't care.
But the only way you could improve that Robert Downey Jr. coming down, basically in the Iron Man armor. He comes down in the Iron Man armor, he pops his helmet open, and you see it's really him, and everybody freaks out, right? And then he's got a satchel, and he opens up the satchel, and inside it are the completed, finalized shooting scripts for Blade and Armor Wars. You know, and then boom, that's the only way it could get better.
And then just the lights go dark.
Yep.
I mean, Blade is going to be one that was announced in 2019. We are in 2024, and it's still like, I think we cracked it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to happen. That might go
Mahershala
the...
Ali, he just wants to make it so bad. Just let him make it. Just let him make the movie.
I mean, at this point...
He's got to mess around and age out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, at this point, is it just like...
And why not just get Wesley given certain, events?
I'm not sure what Wesley Snipes is doing these days. I have no idea.
Old Man Blade doesn't even make sense because vampires don't age, and he ages slower, or rather faster than a regular vampire because he's half or whatever. Also, maybe in his satchel, Iron Man could have the finished Ghost Rider project. They keep threatening us with every year. They threaten us with a Ghost Rider project.
Yes.
We will bring back the 90s, whether you like it or not. That is the final 90s nail in the coffin. So Marvel, big presence already. I think Saturday, at this point, I'm not even sure what exactly is left. Obviously, they haven't rolled cameras on any Avengers at this point. So they've got Thunderbolts and, a new Captain America. But, in terms of surprises, I mean... Feige cast a pretty wide net not that long ago. We're already at 2029 at this point. I don't need an announcement for 2032. I won't be hyped for 9 years.
Have we got any X-Men 97 news yet? Because that's been my favorite Marvel thing recently. I would love it X-Men 98.
And they got added to the official big, Marvel logo Studios logo where all the different. So Fantastic Four is in there. Johnny Storm's flying around, and X-Men 97 are in there. I'm really liking this fusion, honestly, of getting the band back together. You know what I mean? Your buddy went off somewhere, got in a weird bad relationship. He's coming back. He's gonna sleep on your couch for a while. You know, X-Men 97 is popping off the couch like, yeah, I'm back, baby. You know, you rehabbed your friend.
Yeah, they sold it as like, oh, it's the show that you liked as a kid. I'm like, I watched a handful of those as a kid. This is way better.
Oh, yeah.
So you came back much stronger. Speaking of animated, let's move to the other side, because I know some people took umbrage to our titling that Marvel has been dominating so far. We're only 2 days into it.
That's so unlike this fan group. How unusual
And
for them.
DC
Hey, guys.
taking a look. That's at Bailey Meyers.
Sorry, I didn't mean that critically. I
Let-
love that you're like this.
Let's talk about DC. Honestly, if you had asked me even 2 months ago, I was like, this is DC's year. We saw the first photo of Superman come out pretty recently, the official one. And I feel like everybody was like, I need to see one more before I like fully decide. Then we got to see all those set photos. And I was like, oh, for sure, Warner Brothers is coming. This is the year where they can basically just dominate. And they've chosen kind of a different tactic. I want to read this quote. This is Peter Safran. He's the one. Everyone talks about James Gunn as if he is singularly God of DC, forgetting that Peter Safran is kind of the business end. He told The Wrap, from my perspective, let me set up actually. This is just regarding Superman, not Peacemaker, Joker, or anything else. But he said, from my perspective, it's just too soon. A year is truthfully a long time for a campaign, and so from our perspective, I think we go stronger and harder over a shorter period rather than stretching it out. That's our instinct on that. Believe me, there's going to be no shortage of Superman in your life over the next 12 months. So, thoughts on Superman kind of taking a back seat? They're not going to get a big show of Superman this year.
Bailey, what do you
I think
think?
he's lying.
You think so?
I think it's a lie. I think that he's saying that he wanted to see how Marvel's presentation was going to go. You're like, oh, they did a drone show. We got to do a different drone show, I guess. They're taking notes and furiously redoing stuff, and we're going to see how Saturday rolls. It's going to be a real Marvel versus DC weekend.
You know what I
believe
would?
it.
You know what I would love is if, like, we talked about how sometimes the biggest news at Comic-Con is not at Comic-Con. What if James Gunn? Do you remember back in the day? We were really little. It was not uncommon at all that a teaser trailer for a movie was not necessarily footage. It was just like, hey, we're filming this thing right now. Like I remember
I
Back
don't
to
remember
the
that. I'm
Future.
very young.
Do you remember? Okay, I have a few grays since the last time I saw you. A couple. Let's calm ourselves. But do you remember like Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade? The teaser for that was just like Harrison Ford on a horse drinking a water bottle backstage, and they're like, hey, we're shooting this thing, just FYI. And everyone went crazy for it. I kind of thought we were going to get something like that for Superman. Maybe it's not too late. What if they drop it tomorrow afternoon, just like, hey, we're not there, but...
Well, maybe.
Cool.
Well, maybe there are some overworked people working right now. Like they're on DEFCON 4. And there's lights going around. They're turning keys at the same time to turn on giant editing machines. And they're just really trying to get it in right now. But going back to what Bailey said about I think a Superman drone show that comes and like drowns out the drone show on Saturday that Marvel has would be a big deal. And they just start dance battling in the sky.
Oh,
It's like,
yeah.
you know what I mean? They just break. You got served. No, you got served. You know what I mean? With drones in the sky, I think that'd be really sick. It's hard to coordinate though. I think that
It looks expensive.
Yeah.
I'll say
They
that.
recreate the Galactus, and then Superman flies through and busts it wide
Yeah.
open and
Oh
explodes
my
God.
into a million drones. It's Superman, and he's got his underwear back, and we're all excited about that.
Yep.
See, the thing is, and I want you kids, you children, since apparently I'm the old one in the room, I want you kids to bookmark this show because Kevin Feige was recently asked, like, do you ever see a time where like DC and Marvel, you guys get together, do a movie? And he's like, it wasn't like it was diplomatic. It was like, probably at some point. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. 10 years from now, 100%, there's going to be something crazy like that. A big Marvel presentation, the lights go out, Batman's perched on the top of Avengers Tower.
Like Sting from WCW.
Like there's just nothing left to do at a certain point except like, oh man, Yours is this is like 15 years from now. Yours is getting stale. Ours is getting stale. Let's just make some banana nut bread with the two.
Dude,
of
I'll tell you the
things.
2045 slate where it's just like it's Wolverine, Batman, that weird amalgam character. Like there's a Dark Claw. That's what his name was, Dark Claw. The Dark Claw movie would be coming out.
That was awesome.
I'd watch it.
Yeah. So the thing too is, I see his quote. It's too soon. However, DC put out new merchandise for the Superman movie at their booth. There was a hat and a new T-shirt that had the new logo. They sold out of it.
Hat and a T-shirt, you say?
But you joke. They sold out of it on preview night. It didn't even really make it to the.
I mean, maybe that's their little subtle flex. It's like, hey, my gear is selling, dog. You know what I mean?
Maybe they only made 20 of them.
Yeah,
it's entirely possible.
That is true.
I don't know. That's a good point. I don't know how many they had in stock. We're obviously, James Gunn just kind of, made a joke. Whoops, sorry, we ran out of those. It's very basic. It's not like it's, you haven't seen a Superman shirt before, but it's just the new logo. We're not there on the ground to see if everyone's wearing one, so who knows?
I want to feel the material. If it's that stuff where you can like spill some coffee on it and doesn't matter, I'd buy one. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah,
that don't
Superman
get
of
dirty.
future
That from that weird John Byrne period where he had a little micro force field around him at all times, and that's why his uniform never got dirty. It's like, John Byrne, come on, you don't have to explain everything. But yeah, I'd love that. Like a really cool, breathable material that is stain resistant. That's Superman to me.
I'm going to tell you, I don't think anyone waiting in the DC merchandise line was like, I mean, it's cool that Superman's on it, but guys, the durability of this shirt,
I don't like
wear
this
it to
material.
the gym, you can wear it to Nobu, it works everywhere.
Had a lot of stains, and I needed to be ready for that.
I'm just saying, a nice material is a flex.
Just the more premium product.
Yeah, the more premium.
Sure.
That's why you only printed up 20.
Right.
These things cost $1,500 a piece. No, these things are for real aficionados, and I think they'll be a badge of honor going forward.
I do remember this was 2010, maybe 2011. It was the year that Captain America and Thor, I think the year before they were coming out, so it must have been 2010. And they had these amazing kind of like army shirts that you could get from the Marvel booth for Captain America, and it was like a new recruit for the whatever base he was at. And every now and then at a Marvel thing, leading up to Endgame at like a screening or something, I'd see one person with that shirt. So yeah, it kind of was like the you were there thing. That being said, come on, guys. It's a Superman shirt. You are going to see 10 billion of those in the next 12 months. We thought we were going to leave it there, but then earlier today, DC, again, this is another kind of head scratcher for me. Like they in a different panel, they actually dropped, this is not in Hall H, they dropped the first teaser for Creature Commandos, and they showed their brand new studio logo. So they had stuff. They had Joker coming in October. I know Peacemaker is either gearing up or maybe they've even filmed some of Peacemaker season 2. They have stuff and they went back to the old logo for DC. I think that's really cool.
Which I love.
I love it.
I just
for a reason.
Yeah, when people call it the new logo, just pardon those nerd hackles. My fat George Lucas chin inflates. My glasses go onto my face even more, and they push up on my nose, and I go, nah, it's the classic logo, you Philistines. But yeah, I love that DC logo. That to me, it smells like comics.
It does, yeah. There's a feel that goes with that logo, and that's great. I would have loved to have seen that revealed in a big Hall H thing. I think it would have gone crazy, but again, Peter Safran, he's got his reasons, and I'm not saying they're wrong. But I did think it was interesting. That's the teaser for Creature Commandos. That's it, guys. That's the first look at whatever this new DCU is going to be. We got Amanda Waller back. We got all these new characters. Thoughts on kind of the DCU big press machine kind of kicking off with the Creature Commandos trailer?
Well, I think it's a bold move, Cotton, to like not have like the werewolf dudes and stuff like that in it. Like some of these ones, I mean, they do have, I guess, Frankenstein and his bride, which I think that's cool, having them on the same team. They got Dr. Phosphorus and G.I. Robot. G.I. Robot's I always had a soft spot for G.I. Robot, and he has that line about sending Nazis to hell. And I'm like, yeah, that's great. I love that.
I'm going to confess I don't know a lot about it. I'm sure people are not going to be surprised in the chat. But just from looking at it, it seems really cool. Like, I would say as a newer fan, I am intrigued personally. I love animation, and I think that, Marvel really rocked animation most recently, again, with 97. But, like, DC coming in strong with another good animated series for adults, I'm all on board. It sounds great. It looks really cool, and I like the design of the characters.
I do have to say, and I'm not saying that this is the same world or even like the same team, but DC has been holding it down in animation for like a decade or more now. Their original movies, their animated movies have been mostly pretty impressive. Some duds, but of course that's going to happen. But yeah, I just think it's interesting that it's like, imagine if the MCU, this big juggernaut was like the first thing you saw was like, what if,
Yeah.
like just like some little thing and like a small, and who knows, maybe that's like kind of in a weird way back to the grassroots of what Comic-Con was in the 70s and 80s, just a little teeny room like, hey, we got this thing to show you, and it becomes a phenomenon.
Yeah, I think you might be onto something there, because like there's the only way you can beat somebody who puts Galactus in the sky is to go grassroots. It's like they're an anathema to each other. So yeah, and also I think people forget that Superman and Batman are as big as any 4 characters in Marvel. They just are. That being the case, them choosing to slow play it, them never putting Batman on TV. You know why they never do that? Yeah. Batman is for the arena. It's Batman and Russell Crowe. You know what I'm saying? It's like they're this huge thing for huge arenas. That's what Batman is. That's what Superman really should be. Even though I love
There's
Superman and Lois or what's the newest one? Sorry.
more?
No, the one
on the animated one, right?
Yeah, I didn't want to mention the one with Dean Cain. Oh god. but you know what I'm saying?
You're not talking about the one where it's like Superman's half uncle on Krypton.
Yeah, no, none of that stuff.
We're done with that.
But yeah, Superman should be a major, arena character, and if they don't have the marketing quite ready, maybe it is good to take some time.
I mean, maybe I'll burn myself for a second time, but it's like, okay, 2025. That's got to be the year of DC, right? Like Superman everywhere. I'm talking on the badges, the lanyards.
I mean, there's a Batmania that's gonna happen. I think if the movie is pretty good, even there'll be a Batmania. There'll be a we're old. When you were 4, there was this thing called Batman '89, and when it came out, as I was 3,
I was gonna say 4, maybe 4 months old,
maybe
4 days in the NICU.
In 4 years, you would be a glimmer in your father's eye, and Batman took over everything.
Like, I never experienced that.
I've never seen a VCR tape in real life.
What is a VCR?
Well, you know it as a hipster kitschy thing, maybe.
I don't know. It's been, every time that Superman has kind of come back, there was 2006 Superman Returns. There was obviously 2013 Man of Steel. I always feel like it's going to be Batmania, and it never quite gets there. Hopefully this will be the time. I guess we'll see. But yeah, DC this year, they're playing their cards pretty close to the chest. I thought maybe this would be the year, but Marvel's like, we have this momentum. We're going for it. So
Peter Safran would make more announcements, but he's too busy weaving those shirts by hand.
Yes, that's why there was only 10 of them. Yeah. They're super high quality.
He worked so hard on them.
Stain-resistant shirts that you can wear to the gym or to dinner. It doesn't matter. All right. So, yeah, I think Marvel probably is going to walk away this year a big winner. I'm not going to say DC's a loser. They're not. If you can sell, like, I know we joke, but if you can sell out that shirt before anyone can even get in the door, clearly you got something. We also, if you are more interested in biggest winners and losers of Comic-Con history, there's a great By the Numbers video that you can watch on this channel when we're all done. A lot of interesting things. Who would have thought that Snakes on a Plane was not going to hit?
What?
Yeah, they walked. I'm telling you, I know that you were only 3.5 at the time that it came out.
Even with the Cobra Starship tie-in song?
Great song. everyone walked out of that panel. I remember it was snakes on a plane, everything, and that movie came out and nobody saw it. So that's kind of the gamble when you go to San Diego Comic-Con. It's like you get this false sense of, everything is big and majestic, and then it doesn't always translate. Hopefully not the case for some of these things. Let's move on to everything else happening. Another big thing that I've seen a lot coming out of this Comic-Con, Transformers 1. This is the new one. Keegan-Michael Key, obviously Chris Hemsworth taking over Peter Cullen's role for Optimus Prime. This is set, I wish we had Joe Starr here. I'm going to say this is set before everything. I'm going to guess like 5 bajillion years before everything, since I don't think Transformers age.
I bet he'll have plenty to say about it tomorrow when he's here.
He will. Oh, you're just like Marvel. You gave away our spoiler surprise.
My bad. If it was a secret, you should have told me.
Let me just rewrite the outro here.
Scooped.
That's journalism.
Scoop yourself. This is weird. I took my daughter to go see Garfield, and
that is weird. You're right.
That was a film.
He doesn't eat lasagna once in the movie. Not once.
That's not true.
He sits in a lasagna. That's different.
He dumps it in his mouth.
He talks about it. He sits in it. We don't have to talk about Garfield. I remember being angry.
We can talk about Garfield offline, but
Yeah,
I do have thoughts. Anyway, that's the first time I saw the Transformers, this new trailer, and I was like, I don't know who this is for. It seems like this new trailer that dropped today, it kind of is showing that it's really is for kind of the fans that have been saying for years, like, we don't care about Shia LaBeouf. We don't care about Mark Wahlberg. We want to know more about the Transformers. We want more Transformers. It looks like this is one, the screen for critics really, really early. The buzz coming out of it was positive. Thoughts?
Well, I mean, I have an odd soft spot for Transformers because when I was -1, I got enamored with them as a kid, and I think the reasoning behind them going back to Cybertron is obviously a lot of Transformers fans love the fact that they are an alien race, and getting to see them in their own milieu or where they come from is really cool to them. Also, a big thing about the transforming, like being the beings they were before, you get to see the remnants of how they were there thousands of years later in the movie. So I think them deciding to take it back to the source is kind of smart, because if you're trying to sell this to people in the future, you can't sell an unending war to people unless it's like real life.
I was like, clearly you don't watch the news at all. And
I mean, just okay.
That's the easiest thing to say.
Yeah, unless it's real life. But as far as like on a screen, it's like if you notice how they always start with the origin of how Batman met the Joker or whatever. They never really jump in the middle unless it's like a cartoon or something, because they always know that they have to tell the story for a new audience.
Right.
In Transformers, it doesn't seem like they ever really do that. They've just been doing the same weird war, jumping into different periods of it and expecting everybody to care, when most of us haven't seen at least 2 or 3 of them, and there's 9 of them, like Fast and Furious movies. So I think going back to 1 is almost a natural progression. Whether it's the greatest, smartest move of all time is one thing, but I think it's a natural progression. I think it is kind of a smart thing to do at this point.
Yeah, there's no point not to. I think it's really interesting too. Like, I'm not really a Transformers guy, but I do think it's interesting to finally have something, at least in like this medium, where it's like, Megatron and Optimus Prime are friends, and there are no Decepticons, or at least I don't think so, at least at this point, unless it's like a street gang and they
well, and getting to see those concepts like Born, I think
Right.
that's the appeal, because obviously we've heard, Decepticons are bad. Okay, why are they bad? Where do they come from? Like we got a whole people trying to do $500 million on Sauron. Why can't we find out about Megatron?
We'll get there. We will
Dang,
get there.
bars,
Ouch.
though.
Yeah. Bailey, I know that you were -10 when Transformers came
Yeah.
out. But do you have any transforming thoughts on Transformers?
Transformers is hit or miss for me, if I'm
Right,
going to be honest.
sure.
There were movies that I've enjoyed. I still think very fondly of Bumblebee. She really had real chemistry with that car. There were movies I didn't enjoy. We mentioned Shia LaBeouf already. No need to bring him up again. But I feel optimistic about this one. I like the art style of the animation. I think Transformers is a really fun property. There's a lot you can do with it. I like that they're inexplicably cars, even on their home world. Like, that doesn't make any sense, but I love it. I want to see him find the Allspark again or whatever from the ride at Universal, you know?
Dude, that ride is incredible.
That's the best Transformers movie I've ever seen.
It really is, actually. I thought you were going to say that's the best Transformers ride I've ever been on.
No, it's the best movie. Like,
when they
real
shoot,
Universal is mostly screen rides, and I love it.
Yep.
Yeah, when they shoot those missiles and like the missile goes right above your head, they blow the hot air on you. That's how I lost my hair.
There used to be a full, beautiful,
Dude,
luscious.
dude.
Yeah.
Wow,
It
they
was
don't
like-
tell you about the dangers of those rides when you get on them.
Dude.
Thanks a lot, Alopecia Prime. Okay, so Transformers, surprisingly, I didn't think too much of this one, but it's been a lot of the chatter at Comic-Con. Another thing that came out earlier today, the announcement, this comes from our friends at THR, Prime Video announced that it's ordered a prequel series called Vought Rising that will star Jensen Ackles, Aya Cash, reprising their roles from The Boys. That joins they're creating a universe. I know everyone creates a universe, but
third spinoff for The Boys, second spinoff.
this
Third Boys
joins,
series.
so it joins Gen V, which is their college set spinoff, and the animated series The Boys Presents Diabolical. This is number 3. The 1950s set series takes place in New York City, and as Ackles said during the panel, will track the humble yet diabolical beginnings of Vought. Ed, I'm going to defer to you as our boys expert on the panel. Do we need more boys? Do we like boys?
I think this is. I don't know about necessary. None of this is necessary, But I do think it is a really cool time in Vaught's history, according to the history of the show. Because at this point, where we're at right now, they've corporatized it. Everybody's bought into the concept. There is no selling of the concept. It's just sort of this thing that always was. To see it sort of begin, if you want to know if you want to know whether an origin story is cool, there was a world before super people, and there's a world after. And the business that sprouts up, the army interest, how did it become a corporate thing rather than just for the army? How did it become a pop culture phenomenon? All these things haven't been answered. So I think that's why they want to go back to the source. And plus, Soldier Boy, that would be his heyday, and he is a great character. He's
we're
awful.
also getting Stormfront's origins, right?
Don't get me started on Stormfront.
I'm
Aya
excited
Cash.
to see Aya Cash. She
buddy,
rocked that role. She's
And
so good, so scary.
Yeah, and I loved how her 40s and 50s just insouciance and not giving a damn about being correct in any way was so perfect to be like I'm a cool girl now. Like, she just acted exactly as she would have in the 40s, and it was her being cool now. I think that's really interesting. She didn't really have to hide herself too much.
Oh, no, she really didn't. Her name was Stormfront.
It's pretty on the nose.
Yeah.
It's always interesting to me with The Boys because whenever it comes out, it's a big cultural, moment, which we don't get a lot anymore. I feel like we get a lot of niche things, but I feel like The Boys is, one of the things where everybody kind of stops, talks. But I do wonder, this was, to me, The Boys was like the apex of that whole period where we were deconstructing heroes. We were kind of deconstructing the idea of superheroes and blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Is Boys about to hit a point where it becomes almost like this self-parody where it's like you are now earnestly what you were kind of satirically pointing out?
Well, I don't know. Maybe I don't think we've ever seen a company or a concept get to the deconstructing of the deconstruction. You know what I mean? I think it's really like an MC Escher thing going on right now, and steps going up, steps going down. They're going back, they're going forward. The college series, honestly, I kind of scoffed at that and was like, I'm not about to spend 8 weeks or whatever looking at this. And then I watched 4 episodes one day, and I was like, oh, here we go, they got me. And really, the things that happen at the end of that really key into the end of this new season. and you see it's like them concentrating on college heroes means whoever the 7 is right now and whoever the boys are, their new enemies. There's a new crop of them coming up every year out of the college system, like NBA players or football players or something, you know? So there's new characters that can come and menace them, and some of them show up in the end of this season. So it's like, it does tie in very well.
Let's talk about, I think it was maybe you that brought it up. We have to. We're contractually obligated. No, I'm just kidding. Rings of Power, season 2. Oh man, the most expensive thing I feel like no one's watching. Season 1 was
season 1. For your information.
Yeah, I know. You did like a live watch, right?
We did a live watch, and we have it on the on the record. Me calling who Sauron was, like episode 1. I was like, it's that guy, and I was right.
Yeah, I feel like season 1, it was like, Sauron? Is that Sauron? And then the trailer that was showed was like, oh, it's Sauron, and you're gonna get a lot of Sauron. It's all about
There's
Sauron.
our boy.
Yeah,
He's hot now.
I actually think like so. I kind of trudged through season 1, if I'm being honest. It was just not my favorite thing, and I love those films. Couldn't get into the books.
The books are a little bit of a slog.
It was like 75 pages in, and we were still at a birthday party. I was like, I just can't do this. But
Tolkien's great, but he's really more of a guy who wants to show off all the languages he invented rather than the great, concise plot he's come up with.
Yeah, super not interested in like goo goo gaga made up language. But the season 1 was a little bit of a chore. I'm much more interested in season 2 after watching this. I think as the bones start to come together of stuff like I recognize, I'm just like, oh, okay, now we're getting more to what, you know, like I like about Lord of the Rings. I think, you know, I don't know, is it too late? Is it too late for Rings of Power to become a huge, massive show? I mean, we already know budget-wise it is, but culturally.
I don't know. I want to believe in it because I know season 1 kind of landed with a wet thud, but I mean, I watched it and there was a real glimmer of hope in it for me. I love Lord of the Rings. Again, the books were difficult to get through. Granted, Silmarillion, not an easy read either, but I grew up on this stuff. The Hobbit was like the first book I read where I was like, I love writing because of this book. Like, it means a lot to me. So seeing cool Lord of the Rings world stuff coming out, like, I'm always gonna be on board for that, and this trailer looks dope as hell. Like, it looks great. I'm gonna watch it, and I hope other people watch it with me.
Their panel, I guess, was pretty cool. An orc just stormed on stage screaming, and you know it's a big moment. This is coming from our friends Deadline, but you know it's a big deal when those side screens pop open in Hall H.
Oh,
so you
yeah.
get kind of that Disneyland circle vision. It was a thing before you were born.
I don't know what that is.
Oh, it's where Buzz Lightyear is now. They had something called Circle Vision, and it was awesome.
Okay, the
but
Buzz Lightyear ride's an improvement.
it was until they put the Toy Story Midway Mania. And then you're like, if I'm going to do a Toy Story shooting game, I'm not going to do Buzz Lightyear.
Listen to me right now. You do not want to get into debate with me about which Toy Story ride is better at the Disneyland California Adventure collection of theme parks, because you're wrong.
Okay. Well, I feel like we have more passion about the Toy Story rides at Disneyland.
No, that was a weird sidebar.
No, he brought it up, and I just want you to know you're incorrect.
Circle Vision. Circle Vision. It was essentially what they do now. Actually, I saw something. So there's a couple theaters. I think there's one at LA Live where they actually have. It's like, I don't know what they call it. It's not. Maybe it's 4DX or something, but it's like the film here, but then they have 2 screens on the side.
No, 4DX is the one where the seat move and they
okay, then it's not 4DX, but you know what I'm
talking
talking about.
I do.
They do have that, and I just was like, the promo images look so amazing.
Yeah.
But then if you go on YouTube and watch like someone actually, it's like so janky. Like, I just don't think I can watch a movie like that.
Yeah.
Your eyes aren't really supposed to take in that amount of, like, we're not deer. We don't have eyes on the side of our heads. What are we doing here? I don't want to have to be like turning my head to see a film. That's the point of seeing it on the big screen. It's just all in front of you.
I don't know if they did Rings of Power or Lord of the Rings and like the bigger than my vision thing, which honestly they must have done that at the panel. Like, obviously I can't see everything, but could you imagine that first shot in Fellowship
yeah.
of the Ring where they're climbing up the mountain and we get the slow motion, the right stuff for everybody? But if you just had like all the mountains kind of around you and you just peripherally knew it was there, it'd be a cool moment.
It would be very immersive, for sure. I think it might get exhausting after 3 hours.
Yeah, 3 hours of it is probably overkill.
Maybe.
All right, so Rings of Power. We also saw glimpses
I
of...
thought you said rigs of power. I was thinking of Lethal Weapon. He's got like a Sauron ring. Anyway.
I'm not too old for this. We got to see, this is hilarious, a young Shelob. It's a spider. It's young or old. I don't think it really makes
she's
it
sexier now.
Yeah, it's played by
young.
a much younger spider actress. So we got to see some really cool stuff in it. I will stick around for season 2. The last thing I want to talk about, the Alien Romulus panel, I think is still going on right now. There was a trailer released last week for Alien Romulus. I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts. It's been interesting to watch some of these 20th Century Fox properties that Disney has acquired and now is putting out new stuff. We saw it with Deadpool this weekend, which seems to, regardless of maybe personal preference, seems to be an audience pleaser.
I'm glad people like it.
Yeah, I'm glad
I'm happy
too.
for them. Does that seem not like I'm not happy for them?
No,
I'm so
this-
happy for them.
The least genuine. The higher your voice goes,
Mariah Carey's like, ah!
then
Is the
also.
microphone even picking that up?
No, it's not. Dogs are just barking in people's homes. And then, they took something which I think most of us felt was a little tired with Predator. They tried Predators, I don't know. Every
Predation.
pejorative you think of, yeah, predation. And they put out Prey, which was a very different kind of approach to it, and it felt very fresh, and I think universally most people liked it. Alien Romulus, I feel like Prometheus was what it was, and then Alien Covenant said, well, I kind of don't want to be a sequel to that, but I kind of don't want to be an Alien movie, so I'm just going to do both terribly.
Right.
Is it too late for Alien? What could possibly come out with Is there any way that Romulus could have the Prey effect?
Honestly, I mean, just based on the trailer alone, they're already doing it right by having like a compelling young actress in the lead. She seems great. I'm genuinely like so on board with space horror that like you could tell me nothing about this movie. I'd be like, oh, new Alien movie? I'm there. I'm gonna see it. So I don't think I'm the best panelist for this because I'm like, no, it looks good. I don't know anything about it. It looks good.
What'd you think of like Covenant?
Covenant wasn't good, but I saw it, didn't I?
I mean, we all saw it.
That should be like like all of fandom's, bromide. That's our rallying cry. I didn't like it, but I saw it, didn't I?
Gave them my money.
Honestly,
I bought the popcorn.
I feel like that's all they care about. They don't care if you like it or not, just that you paid to go see it.
I'm hoping they care I like this one because I really love horror. I think Alien is such a classic and influential horror series for a reason. So I'd like it to get back to its roots where it's like good and fun to watch as opposed to the others.
What's interesting about Alien specifically is like, when Prometheus came out, I was like super interested, and I think most people were, that like, oh, we're gonna get all this lore and figure out where this all came from and everything. And as we got deeper into Prometheus and then deeper into Covenant, I was like, oh, this franchise, I actually don't want to know anything. The lore actually is a huge hindrance, in my opinion,
Yes.
to Alien, which is like bizarre,
Yeah, I mean, there are things where that old saying of you don't look at a butterfly too close because it's all weird. You know what I mean? It's like it looks,
that old chestnut.
Yeah, it just looks super weird when you look at it with a magnifying
Grandma
glass.
stitched that on.
Yeah, it's on a pillow somewhere. Maybe not where you guys live, but I just really think that the more you just said it, the more you examine, it's like Wolverine. The more you know about him as a sickly kid in an 1890s bed, and he's vomit. You know what I mean? It just ruins the mystery. That his search for the mystery was the thing that made his character cool. And once we find out everything, it started to suck. In Alien, like, why do these things reproduce this way? If we're going to go this way, take me back to their original planet, wherever that is. How did they get to be spacefaring? Were they just this fungus that people had to come down and get on? I just feel like you go back too far to the beginning. You have those big weird dudes that we don't understand, any of their goals, and that's too far. So I just feel like the more that we don't know what we're dealing with, the more plausible these people's reactions to whatever is. You know what I mean?
No, totally. Like, honestly, if I was in my house and I saw a cockroach, I wouldn't be like, I wonder where this line of cockroaches started and who created them. I'm just like, get it dead and out of my house.
Right.
And I think that visceral fear has kind of been missing a little bit, which I understand. Like, you would think that the natural progression would be like, let's go back and tell that story because we left so many breadcrumbs in the beginning. But I think the breadcrumbs are what makes it scary. The fact that there's not a piece of bread, that all that was left was crumbs.
Yeah, no, I'm in total agreement. I mean, honestly, like, maybe this is not allowed to say under this roof, but I don't need all lore constantly examined all the time for everything. Sometimes I think it kind of ruins the coolness of the property. And Alien's one of those ones where the sort of like the unknown component is the thing that makes it scary. This scary monster is on our ship and it's eating all my friends, even the ones I don't really like, and I don't know what it is. And that's what's scary. That's what's scary about it. You don't know what it is. If I know its entire genetic makeup and its hopes and dreams, then I'm less afraid of it.
That's kind of what I've been saying for years about the Terminator franchise.
Yeah.
Though it makes the first one scary is that this Terminator is not like so good at what it does. It's just like, I'm just going to find every Sarah Connor. I don't know which one's the right one, and I'll just get rid of them all.
Right.
That's way scarier than like, well, Skynet programmed it with
Right.
this laser, you know.
To
Yeah.
me, the thing that makes Terminator 2 scary is that he and Sarah Connor don't kiss, not even once. In spite of all their chemistry.
Well,
Just that whole Ross Rachel.
will lie or won't
Turns out
lie.
love doesn't triumph over all.
Nope. Sure doesn't. I was like,
Will there or won't they with an
who is
800-pound robot? But no, I also agree with everything that the panel has said. That the thing about the alien thing is the mystery, and I just think they were missing out by going back. They're missing out on like imagine if those movies were just other movies and other milieu. Like we've seen them in a weird abandoned power station. Well, let's see them at a medical hospital on Mars, or let's see them, all these different places where the monster could come in and they don't know what it is, and we get these new confrontations with it. We get these new permutations with it. Does it get inside a rhino and make a big rhino alien that busts everybody's ass? You know what I mean? Like there's all sorts of weird stuff. Aliens on a game preserve. Aliens, just milk the concept and milk the fact that these stories are really cool because they have like 18 characters basically. They're all milling about saying about the same number of lines, and then they start dying. You're like, well, who in the hell is the Ripley of this one? And you don't know until maybe 3/4 through it. That's a cool story form. Just keep doing that.
Yeah, I guess the first one was just an alien on essentially a submarine. So just think of the next claustrophobic.
Or like an 18-wheeler. It's basically an alien on an 18-wheeler that had a bunch of sleeping cabins in it. That's what the first one was. And so like there's a million of those scenarios in the far-flung future.
So yeah, that panel is wrapping up right now. It seems like everyone's kind of willing to give this one one more shot. So hopefully Alien Romulus is where it's at. I'm looking forward to it. Let's take a couple questions here from the chat. John Lee says, what Marvel sequels do you think will officially be announced or confirmed tomorrow? I think Thor, Doctor Strange, and Shang-Chi might. I think those are pretty strong contenders.
Those are solid. You should be on the panel.
Because none of us said those earlier. Yeah, it seems like Thor 5 is like all but happening. Probably not Taika Waititi this time.
Yeah, a lot of people really dunked on his, huh?
Man, it's a real like love or hate type thing because he made one great one and then he made one mistake.
Well, for the 4 sports fans that'll be listening to this, it's like if you came out first season and you were LeBron and the second season you were Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons is very
I'm
worse.
going to assume he's bad.
Yeah.
He's very
Well,
much
he's
worse
the one,
than
but
LeBron.
not the other.
He's
so.
very much worse.
I was like,
than
ooh, LeBron, I know that one.
I understand that
I'm
reference.
with you.
So yeah, but that's kind of what I think a lot of people felt. But yes, a new person. What was that? Was that a bat?
It's the
That was
wide world of
beautiful.
sports.
Shout out to Zach behind the scenes, being a true artist.
that was pretty amazing improv there. But yeah, I really think that a little bit of new blood on the Thor concept but this is one that I think is going to be in Chris Hemsworth's hands. You know, I really think he's going to be he's the auteur of Thor in this next one. I bet he's going to have a lot of control over what this is. So maybe this will be, Thor by Hemsworth.
I kind of think take Infinity War. That, to me, Infinity War was probably about the best Thor that I would want.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like take Ragnarok, take Love and Thunder, and take the first Thor. Just like split the difference. You don't have to be all the way, serious Lord of the Rings, and you certainly don't have to be all the way like none of this matters. And I feel like Infinity War was, to me, like that's as close as it got. A lot of comedy, but he also had some like actual legitimate moments. So
he's a great actor. He's really capable of doing both. So I hope that the next Thor movie really gives him a lot to work with. My biggest and only personal flaw is, other than my inability to say the word flaw, the fact that I did not hate Thor: Love and Thunder. I think that the hatred for it was pretty overblown. I
think that's a pretty big fall there.
Well, hey, Ben Simmons agrees with you.
Ben Simmons. I mean, it made decent amount of money. It's not like it flopped.
It still made Marvel money.
Yeah, it still made money. So
simply think that while there were things about it that were not the best, I found it more enjoyable than a lot of its contemporary Marvel releases. And I think it got a bad rap. I like Thor as a character. I think Chris Hemsworth clearly has so much fun playing him, and you can tell it's not just a slog. For sometimes you watch these and you're like, oh, that actor does not want to be here anymore.
Right.
With him, it feels like he finds joy in the character still, even after all this
yes,
time.
Agreed. But for Love and Thunder, almost goes too far the other way, where it becomes Grown Ups 3, where it's like, this is not even a movie. You guys just wanted to hang out. Like,
yeah.
If a character has cancer,
What's the problem?
If a character has cancer, we probably should try to, I don't know, give that some gravitas.
I thought that got some gravitas, though. Like, I thought that all the comedy in it offered a nice dichotomy to the real tragedy of the parts with Jane, and I thought that it was maybe not the best balanced, but certainly better balanced than a lot of people
me
thought.
Go home
We don't
and
have
watch
to,
this again. You're gonna make me watch this again to look for
yeah,
it.
We don't have
should.
to relitigate. I am saying my personal opinion and only flaw I have as a human being. And that's it. I'm excited about Thor. I'm always going to be excited
That's okay.
about Thor. I've seen all of them, and I can't say that for every Marvel series.
I will die on a sword right next to you because I actually think Doctor Strange.
It's actually a hammer.
I will die. You'll die on the sword. I will die on a sling ring. That I think Doctor Strange's Multiverse Man is totally fine.
You know what? I thought so too.
Yeah, there we go.
People were like, I didn't like the weird Sam Raimi stuff. I'm like, that was the best part.
Sam Raimi was the best part of that movie.
Yes.
I'll agree with that. Definitely.
I mean, now that we know Fantastic Four is coming and Pedro Pascal, like, it doesn't feel quite as bad that like John Krasinski gets his head ripped off in 2 seconds.
I honestly think that should happen to John Krasinski more.
Yeah, I didn't know we were like anti-Krasinski until someone told me the other day, and I was like, "Oh no, we don't like him anymore." Like no one invites me to these meetings. I was like way behind on Chris Pratt, and everyone's like, "Oh," I was like, "Oh no, I was absent. I missed it."
He joined that rarefied club of men we enjoyed on TV because they seemed normal, and then they got really buff and weird and stopped being likable.
Okay, well, I like Multiverse of Madness, so yes, I do hope. And I do think they will. Shang-Chi is one where I was kind of shocked, not so much that they didn't announce a sequel right away. That character has been in nothing for like 3 or 4 years. That's crazy.
Yeah, the most I see him is when I'm playing Marvel Snap. He's
don't
in my
know what
deck,
that
and
is,
he
but-
is a game changer.
Is it a card game?
It's a card game, yes.
Okay.
I mean,
Nerd alert. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah, Shang-Chi, I think it is interesting the way they did him in the movies with the Mandarin rings being, big arm rings
Right.
like from Kung Fu movie. All that was super dope, and I've been wanting to see more of the Kung Fu underverse of Marvel, because there's like the Daredevil level, and dare I say, then above that the Shang-Chi level.
Oh, 100%.
And then, so like I just feel like there is a John Wickian universe underneath all the techno gods who lift Sokovia over their heads and fly through the sky and all that. There is some, seen in like that Captain America series. There is this kind of Kung Fu underverse. There is the Madripoor. There is this stuff. I want to see that.
Yeah.
Okay. Is this going to happen tomorrow? Blade update, yes or no?
We're never hearing about Blade again.
Okay, so you're going to say no. No Blade update tomorrow. Blade update tomorrow?
They're going to combine it with Armor Wars. It's going to be armored vampires. They won't be able to bite people, but you won't be able to bite them. Why would you want to bite them? I don't know.
I actually think at this point, like...
There's a lot of vampire fiction
I
that's about
would-
wanting to bite vampires.
Oh, well, there you go.
Vampire on vampire? Or like a human biting a vampire?
Human bite vampire. So hot. Interview with vampire. Vampire bite vampire. I can talk today.
Bailey's having a stroke. All right.
I'm good.
Vampire,
Doesn't make me
vampire.
smell like
Bite,
ghost.
teeth, vampire, vampire. Human vampire, vampire,
Vampire wolf.
I wouldn't be shocked if Blade ends up like buddy teaming like a Hulk style,
Well,
at
I
this
mean, that's the
point.
one we didn't talk about, but I mean, I want more World Hulk news. It's one of the projects. That's one of my pet projects. I just want to see them embrace the Hulk as a world power. You know what I'm saying? Last time we saw him, he was holding up stuff. The other time we saw him, last time we saw him, he was snapping. Then he was holding up stuff in whatever order you want to put that in. Then before that, he was getting smacked up by Thanos. It was just like the Hulk that we've gotten. I just want to see him just beat ass. I just want a nonstop, like speed with the Hulk, and he's beating up people. Like however way you want to flip that, however way you want to do it, please give me that. Give me
Maybe
him
just
in his
call
full.
it Hulk beat ass.
Yeah, well, that's what World War Hulk is. That's what it is in Japan. That's how they
Style it.
translate it.
I do think. Okay, one more. Will this happen? Will it tomorrow finally be the day we hear their plans for X-Men? Now that Deadpool is out in the ether.
I hope so. I like X-Men a lot, and there's been a lot of good X-Men content lately. We have us X-Men fans out here have had such a spoil of like delightful content to consume, and I just want more. So I hope so, is what I'm saying.
X-Men plans tomorrow? Are we going to get that big rumored Avengers versus X-Men movie?
Oh yeah, I buy into that rumor. I think it is a really interesting way to introduce the X-Men to the present continuity. Is the Avengers they're dispatched to stop this new thing, and they're like, these are like people that most of them are just like weirdos, and we only see the handsome ones. Like them discovering that whole aspect of their universe, and I think it will be from some kind of weird multiverse incursion. Because that's really cool. Like if the people in our universe are doing something to affect their universe in a diverse way, they send their heroes, we send our heroes, and then they start to clash. I love that jazz. Secret Wars me to death, baby.
Well, Avengers versus X-Men, I feel like would be one of the few things. I mean, that's the thing. It's like when they announce Secret Wars, everyone will cheer and yell and be excited, but we knew it. I feel like Avengers versus X-Men would be like the same way that when, I don't know if you remember, I think you might have been too, when they announced the phase 3 of the MCU and they had a different title for Captain America 3. It was like Serpent Society, and then they faked everyone out and it changed into Civil War. And it was like, oh my God, they're finally doing it. I think you could do that with Avengers versus X-Men. I agree. I feel like that's probably the best way to...
Or you could do it with Secret Wars. I'll tell you, what if the Secret Wars are with the X-Men? They just threw that out there as the title, and they're going to take it back for X-Men or something.
Not the first time they've done it.
Yeah.
Age of Ultron has nothing to do with the story of Age of Ultron. Thank God, because that's a terrible... all right. Comic-Con 2024, first couple of days. Any other thoughts of Comic-Con before we wrap it up here?
Seems fun. Looks like Jason Derulo did a good job.
Yeah, that fandom party looked
My favorite character from
incredible.
Cats. Good for him.
Well, it seems like
he did a whole Cats medley and you weren't there.
Mistopheles, no.
Well, it seems like all the celebrities are having a good time. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you'll look at the panels, and even when they're doing their best, fakeology, you can see that this is just, oh man, this is sort of a slog. I'm looking at some happy faces. There's some people who are kind of happy to be out, happy to be announcing big projects, happy to be hanging out with each other, maybe for the first time in months,
Yeah, the vibes are good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like there's a sense of excitement again, of which I haven't really felt from Comic-Con, even maybe in the last couple years, even pre-strike. It felt like there were a couple years, it was like, here we go again. But everyone seems to be really excited this year. All the stars are aligning. Tomorrow, we have our own star aligning.
Sorry.
Joe Starr will be joining the panel. We are going to be talking about, we talked today about how Warner Brothers didn't have a panel, but HBO and Matt Reeves are bringing the Penguin. I wouldn't be shocked if we get some idea of Batman 2, who could be the villain, or anything around Batman 2. And of course, the main event.
Releasing Coyote versus Acme finally.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. Marvel Studios will be having their panel. We will be going live right after Marvel Studios panels ends to be talking about all of this stuff. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Bailey. Thank you, Ed. Thank you, Zach, over in the booth. Thank you for watching. Come back tomorrow after, I think it's about 7 p.m. Pacific time after the Marvel Studios panel. And we'll talk about cats.
Yes.
Yeah.
Finally.
Flawed cats.
I just like the one who wears pants.
Okay, end the show. Just end the show. Go black.
Ben Simmons shot that.